Scotland, the nation, is reaching football fever pitch as we approach the opening match of Euro 2024 in Germany, where Scotland will play Germany. It's one of those unique sporting occasions which brings together the country, which is often very divided along footballing and religious lines. Another aspect of culture in Scotland this year, which is bridging the gap between sectarianism, bigotry and touching on football culture, is the play Singing I'm No a Billy, He's a Tim, which is going to be at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. And we're delighted to bring in today to the Sanctum Studios the two leads for the play. Is that correct, saying the leads?
Well, to the two or three.
Well, the other one's not here, so yeah, I think that's fine.
So we've got Scott Kyle, we've got Colin Little from the show. So welcome here.
Thank you very much, thanks for having us.
Yes,
So tell us the background to this story. Obviously it's been on the scene quite a few years now, and you brought it back. What's the genesis of it?
well, we kind of came in on the journey. The play was originally written by Des Dillon, he's a Coatbridge author, and it was for Euro 96, believe it or not. He was asked to write something by the BBC, and he wrote this fantastic piece of theatre about a Rangers and a Celtic fan in a prison cell together, and they were terrified of it. So it lay in a drawer for many years. Our involvement in it was Colin and I studied together at drama school, and I picked this play up in a library, and Colin and I kind of toured the show with James Miller, who was another student with us, over for 5 years, and it became the biggest show in Scotland. So yeah, and now we're back for the 20-year anniversary, a wee bit older, not so much wiser, to do it again.
Fantastic. And without giving too much away of the show, what can you expect? What's the synopsis of it?
So yeah, the basic synopsis is Tim. I mean, it's not subtle. Tim, the Celtic fan, and the Rangers fan Billy end up from various misadventures and not paying fines and all that sort of stuff. End up locked up on the day of the Glasgow Derby, the Old Firm Derby, however you want to call it. On the day of the game, obviously they're both desperate to go to the game, and they end up locked in the same jail cell on the day of the game. They can't afford to pay their fines. They have both concocted a plan to get their wives to put all their money, all their savings, on their team in the derby, with the hope that when their team wins, they get out. So they're locked together, and are obviously desperate to see the game. They're locked together. It's just the two of them in there. Obviously, everybody else is out. The only person there is their lone watchman, Harry, the turnkey, who himself's got his own problem going on at the moment. There's a family member who's sick. He's desperately waiting to hear news about that. And it's a sort of coming together of these three people who are each in their own sort of islands almost at this particular moment in the play, and there's a sort of coming together, a sort of mutual humanity as the game unfolds and as the play unfolds. Yeah, as Scott said, the BBC probably were rightly terrified for it. I think they were looking for some sort of like mid-afternoon Radio 2 thing. That's not what Des wrote. This play, it's not really for the faint-hearted, but it's very, very funny, very, very powerful piece of theatre, and yeah, it's been an absolute joy to be part of, and it's great to be back with it.
So at its heart, the message is anti-sectarianism and bridging the gap between Catholics and Protestants, Celtic and Rangers fans. Obviously, we nowadays have very good relationships between both churches and various other denominations in Scotland. But do you think from the time you started this show till now you've seen improvements in that area in Scotland, or is it still a significant problem?
I think if it's happening anywhere, then it's a problem, so you need to acknowledge that, and that's why the play's still very relevant. It's still tackling those issues, but yeah, it's probably changed over the time. But I think that's like, there's been a lot going on in Scottish football. There was the segregation of the fans weren't allowed into the stadiums. All these things have changed it and mixed things up, and we're hoping next season when they bring the fans back into the stadium, it doesn't flare it up. The same way when we've been to Belfast a couple of times, when we first went, we were worried we don't want to upset the peace process by taking our play there. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it brings people who wouldn't normally go to the theatre, and it brings in the football fans, the people that are probably at the matches responsible for singing the songs from both sides, and they get to kind of have a look at it, and the way it's portrayed. It's funny enough to laugh at yourselves, but also a wee bit of reflection of going, maybe we shouldn't be saying that or singing that, and the two characters do very, very well at making the argument for their team respectfully. So
Yeah, yeah. I would say just coming on the back of that, I do think things are improving. The people, you know, as we go out, when we first of all went out, especially when we went out to Belfast and did the show, that was 2009, 2010. We were out there a couple of times, and at the time, you know, it was always absolutely fine, but we were a bit apprehensive about how it might be, and we were travelling across Northern Ireland in a van that had our posters on the side in Celtic and Rangers tops, and we were a bit like, whoa. And of course the title itself of the play, it attracts attention, and we didn't really know how it would be the response would be, and whether we would get any grief, but the response was absolutely brilliant from across the board. And funnily enough, we were back over there just the other month. We were back in Belfast performing at the Mac. We had 2 fantastic nights there, and you know, it did feel, even in Belfast, it feels like things have moved on. It's not to say everything's sort of sorted, by all means, and of course there'll be sort of flare-ups at times, because you know, football fans are people, and people are complex and have all sorts of issues. But I do think things have improved, with the exception of that lady who saw us as we had a day off on the way to the before we were getting the ferry back. We were going back to London to do the show, and we were driving to the jail. We went to see the Crumlin Road jail for a visit, and we were in the tour van. Of course, it's got our billboard on the side, and we were at this junction. Just Scott was driving, ready to turn right, and this girl was pulled alongside us, and she looked to the side of the van, saw the thing, and her jaw just fell open, and it just, she wasn't really, I don't think she was furious or anything. I think she was just a bit shocked by it. So that was quite funny, and that was the kind of standout reaction that we got. I think that was. But I think things have improved.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's interesting about it is that the whole culture of Celtic and Rangers does permeate here in Scotland. You're taking this to the Fringe, which is going to have local audience but international audience. How will you think, and how has it resonated with people from different countries as well?
I think that's a great point. When we first started out the show, I think everyone that maybe had seen it was thought, you would need to know all the colloquialisms and the undertones and the background to the story. But I think probably a testament to the 3 actors in it as well, the hard work and Desi's incredible writing. The story itself is an incredible piece of theatre. So actually, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to go and see theatre abroad, and I've been in Milan seeing Moby Dick in Italian. Didn't understand a word of it, but I could understand from the performances. I think there's an aspect to this, is that you watching the reaction to each other, and there's an understanding. You can see the way somebody's reacting to something that's been said. You go, he's not happy about that. So there's an understanding there. But as I say, I think first and foremost, this is a brilliant piece of theatre that anybody would come along and enjoy. I mean, it's two human beings that don't get on, forced to come together to support another human being. It's universal. I mean, that could be Montague and Capulet in that prison cell, you know. Just now it could be Israeli-Palestinian having to come together and find a common ground. So yeah, I think it is universal, and I think audiences will love it. Again in Edinburgh, because we've been before and it went down a storm, but we're in a much bigger venue this time, so a bit more pressure on us. Plenty of 400 a day in the Edinburgh International Conference Centre, so it's going to be a lot of people see, a lot of eyes on the show.
Fantastic. So International Conference Centre in Edinburgh is the show. How do people get tickets? In advance or just turn up on the day? What's your?
I would book in advance. We've already sold out our Glasgow performance for September 2024. That's 1,400 seats, and we're now selling for 2025. So yeah, August is fast approaching, so I would get booking the tickets early, and you can do that just via the Fringe website. But you can also go onto my own website, which is www.scottkyle.co.uk, and that's got a list of all the places we're playing. So if you can't get to Edinburgh, we're touring the whole of Scotland, and we've got venues in England and Ireland and Northern Ireland as well. So
it's a busy time for you then, coming up and doing this.
Yes, looking forward to it. Colin's just had a new baby as well, so I'm dragging him away from his wife and the family. So it's certainly worth it, and that's probably testament to it. Colin wouldn't be giving up that time with his family if he didn't believe in the show and what we're doing with it, and the same myself. It's a brilliant piece of theatre.
And you think it will lead to, people see the show, your feedback you get, you think it will lead to more understanding of each other in Scottish society?
Well, I think so. I mean, we were having, we were down in London just in May there, and that was an interesting one. And I think that was a good kind of example of how the Fringe can be. You know, when we perform in Glasgow, or we perform at Belfast, or we perform basically anywhere in Scotland usually, there are a lot of fans of both the teams there. There are a lot of people who, even if they aren't a fan of the teams, they understand the references, they know the kind of Scottish humour. And although we had quite a lot of Scots come to see us in London, we had just a lot of London theatre goers coming along as well. And although you didn't necessarily get the laughs at some of the more obscure references, we've got a lot of references that reference all sorts of things that happen, and we're constantly updating the show as well. If something happens in a game, or something happens even out with the game involving one of the players, and it's worth referencing, and it gets referenced, so to try and keep it fresh and keep it up to date. And of course, in London, not all of those got a laugh or a response, and the Edinburgh Fringe can be a bit like that because it is an international audience. But there's lots of great kind of physical comedy, lots of kind of just very funny writing from Des, which kind of gets there along with the kind of powerful message, and you know, the response is still very good. I think, as Scott said, you really just need to know that these two don't really like each other. They don't even necessarily know why they don't like each other. It's just almost they've been sort of conditioned to see that top on somebody and just assume that they're not going to like that person, which is part of the point of the play. Is the play is about identity, and why, you know, what makes somebody, you know, Scottish, or what makes them Irish, or what makes them an Irish Scot, what makes somebody British, and what relevance a football team may or may not have to all that sort of stuff as well.
Absolutely. So we're coming towards the Euros this week, and it's a moment for everyone to come together. Are you going to get a chance with all your shows to see the games?
Yes, thankfully. I mean, we're going to be cheering on Scotland. I said Billy and Tim are putting their divisions aside to come together to support the national team. But yeah, the tour as well. I mean, Colin and I, we're both big football fans anyway, so we always watch the game, and part of the job is keeping an eye on the football as well. So yeah, even when the games are on, I mean, there was a kind of Old Firm game on when we were in London. We had a matinee. So the Old Firm is before the first matinee, and then so we're literally watching the show as we're kind of climbing up the stairs, keeping the eye on the last bit of it before getting the costume and do the show, and then you're trying to build things that happen in that match into the show that night. So yeah, we keep an eye on it all the time.
There's every possibility if something happens in the Euros that bears mentioning. It will be, I mean, especially once Scotland win it, that'll definitely get mentioned. Yeah, I can't wait for the Euros. I'm a huge Scotland fan. I always have been. I'm very, very excited, and yeah, I'm at that stage. You know, you go through the various stages of, you know, the various stages of grief they talk about. I've got the various stages of excitement, and I'm up and down.
So you're going to win it just now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll think we're winning it, even if we're about to lose the final game in a row. I'll still think there's a chance, you know.
What's your prediction for the game against Germany?
Being optimistic, it would be great. A 1-0, sneaking a 1-0 would be amazing. But the Germans are looking really strong, really good. So I don't know. We'll need to see if it all comes together. Yeah,
the Germans, they haven't been very strong in recent years compared to what they are a German team, and of course, Füllkrug was playing both him and Rudiger were playing in the Champions League final just the other week. So, you know, they've got real quality. Kai Havertz and all that. They've got a very good team. I did hear there was a wee bust up between Füllkrug and Rudiger. So that was Real Madrid versus Dortmund, and whether it kind of come over, that happened the other day, a bit of a bust up. So maybe that'll help.
Unsettled camp.
I'm always an optimist. I'm going to think we can do something. I mean, the thing to remember is with Scotland, and we'll all know this, we generally turn up when we're expected to lose. We thrive on being underdogs. We thrive on upsetting the apple cart. I'm a lot more comfortable, you know, thinking that we're going up against Germany for the first game. I feel more comfortable than if the first game was against Hungary or against Switzerland, because, you know, it's the first roll of dice and you'll see what happens. but I wouldn't put it past us to maybe if they...
Typical Scotland, they'll beat Germany 1-0 and then get like destroyed by Hungary 4-0.
That's almost more likely, isn't it? But I'm confident that whatever happens, and I do think we might just pull something off. I think we might get something from the game against Germany, and I do think we'll get out of the group.
Well, I think back to, I'm old enough to remember France '98. Yeah, and I remember it well. And when John Collins, a good Celtic man, scored his penalty kick. You know, I think it was with 20 minutes to go, we were getting a draw against Brazil, and then in true, in that's it, in Scottish style, we an own goal to get beat off Brazil. So hopefully, but that'd be amazing. That sort of excitement again, you know, kind of also for the next generation of kids that'll be watching it, it'll be absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it'd be great to get. You know, no lose it. Let's hope we don't lose it. You know, that'd be a good positive start.
Oh, brilliant. So we wish the Tartan Army and the team all the best for the upcoming Euros, and we'll keep an eye on that and hope it's going well. And singing I'm No Billy, it's a Tim. Go and check it out at the Edinburgh Fringe. We're looking forward to seeing it, and I'm sure you'll have a great day out in Edinburgh and a good laugh as well with the guys here. So thank you both for coming in. It's been a pleasure. Good luck with the rest of the rehearsals and plays. And enjoy the games this weekend and coming up.
No worries, and thank you very much. And as we normally sign off when we're doing our autographs, is hail, hail, we are the people. So
hail, hail, we are the people. I'm going to get cancelled now for that one. But anyway, thanks very much.
Come on, Scotland, that'll be fine.